The Witch's Bedtime Tale. The fascination of the eerie, weird, blood-chilling tales told by old Nancy, Witch of Salem, and Satan, her wise black cat. They are waiting for you now.
Meow. Raining cats and dogs it is here in my neck of the woods. Cats and dogs. Wouldn't that be a sight if it really were? Of course the cats would be landing on their feet, and the dogs, well, they'd be landing in all sorts of awful ways, I imagine. Meow. Cats wish they always landed on their feet, you say? Well, you're a cat, so you should know. Old Nancy knows two things, she does. The first is it's my birthday. 131 I be today, yes, and I'm feeling very pretty. Meow. Why, I won't even repeat that. The second thing I know is our story tonight is called Bus Ride. Bus Ride. Meow.
Most people probably think that they're sort of on the right path in life. I did. I thought I was doing the right things in my relationships, my work, with my choices in general. And for the most part, I was happy. I had been with my boyfriend Riley for a couple of years, and I'd been thinking about going back to school to perhaps try for a higher salary career instead of the low-paying jobs I'd had since the end of high school. I mean, sure, the tips from waitressing were good, but I could only take that work for so long. Besides, I liked more of a challenge, having to use my brains to figure things out rather than skimpy outfits to garner tips from horny drunk guys at the bar. So with business school in mind, I took a second part-time evening job to help save for it down the road. And as my mother always liked to remind me, carpe diem, seize the day.
Welcome everyone to their first night of training. My name is Kelly Marchand and will be your instructor. Some of you may have call center experience, and I'm sure it will come in useful. However, Mantis Communications likes all its call handlers to provide the same level of service, so training not only covers the technical aspects and knowledge you will need to provide, but also phone etiquette, quality standards, and professionalism, which you will be expected to maintain. For those of you using public transit to get to and from work, we always let out in time to catch the 402 bus, which is the last one of the night at 1:30 a.m. The company also provides monthly bus passes. During training, like work, we will be having 2 15-minute breaks and a lunch break.
My day job was close enough to where I lived I could bike to work. I didn't own a car, another expense to look forward to someday, maybe. This new call center job wouldn't be too far to bike to, and through areas I wouldn't have felt comfortable riding during the late hours. I used the bus on occasion, but this would be the first time I'd be needing to take one regularly for work. I wouldn't have taken the job if the free monthly bus pass hadn't been included by the company. It made sense, I thought, to supply the perk, a small cost to help ensure employee reliability, and it wasn't a huge expense, but still, when has trying to save money ever been a bad idea?
You went to Gordon High School, didn't you?
Yeah, so did you, right? I thought you looked familiar. I'm Dawn.
Corinna. Yeah, we had a class or two together. Probably saw each other in the halls. So, are you full-time or part-time?
Only part-time. I have a full-time day job. It's been a couple years since graduation, and I finally decided to go back to school. Thought I'd find an evening job. Even the training is at night, so it works fine. It just makes for long days, especially with the bus ride.
My boyfriend and I share a vehicle, though I'm sure I'll need to bus it now and then.
It's going to be weird being one of those people on the phone. I'm sure after training it will be easy. The 2 weeks of paid training will be helpful.
I bet a few people leave after training.
You think? What kind of person does something like that?
I've seen it before. They probably look for jobs with paid training, sleep through that, and collect a couple weeks of pay, and then do it again.
Training went well, but it was a tiring 2 weeks, and working during the day and then basically a second shift at night. Krina had been right. One guy finished the 2-week training and never returned. She became my first work friend there, and it's strange how people from high school you never knew can later become your friend, and how your closest high school friends soon drift apart after school. Already I was learning how superficial so much is. Things I'd considered important a few years earlier seemed childish now. I had been at the job for a few weeks, and the worst part was the bus rides and transfers. I quickly decided a car, though costly, would have its benefits. Still, a car was the opposite of saving money, so the bus would have to suffice. There were only a few people on the late shift who also took the bus with me, and one of them was a woman who seemed to have a sadness to her. She was probably in her 60s and moved like someone who no longer enjoyed life. There were streaks of gray in her unkempt hair, and her clothes were clean but drab. She seemed to do her job and kept to herself.
Hey, how's your shift going?
Good. I had one caller who just kept insulting the company and me, and no matter how I tried to help, he was just a rude ass.
I've had a couple of those. Don't let it bother you. We've all wanted to call some company and bitch about something. My boyfriend worked as a collection agent. I felt so bad for him some days when I heard the abuse he went through. Gotta stay positive.
Do you ever wonder if it gets harder to stay positive as you get older?
No, I think it depends on the person. Some people are happy their whole lives, and some are miserable.
What about those that tried but failed? Like that woman there. The one who never smiles and never seems to talk to anyone. Do you think she was happy once and lost it, or was she always this way?
I've noticed her. She does seem to need some happiness in her life. Can you picture yourself working here when you are that age?
Well, we work here. What difference does age make? At least it's physically a very easy job. It's perfect for her age.
I mean, I shouldn't have to work at that age. Guess she's made some bad choices or had some bad luck.
That's what I'm getting at. We don't know where we're going to be in 10, 20, heck, 40 years into the future. Most of us will probably not be where we'd like to be, and really, even at our age, is this the place we want to be?
Philosophical today, aren't we? Is something the matter?
No. Just overly serious, I guess. I had something bothering me a little. Riley, my boyfriend, had brought up the topic of having kids. It's a topic we'd brushed over before, but not for a while. He was beginning to think we should start planning for a couple, and I wasn't so sure.
I know kids are expensive and all, but don't you think it'd be easier having kids when we're younger instead of older?
You've made a couple of good points, and I want kids, but now? Everyone I know who has kids ends up stopping their plans and becoming full-time mothers.
What about Tanis? Her and Rick have 2 kids, She's still working. Just because you have a baby doesn't mean you can't have a career too.
Tanis runs her own business and doesn't need daycare all the time. Don't you think it's a better idea for me to get a career going before having kids?
I just think we could manage money, careers, you going back to school with a baby. A baby would be a joy. It'll encourage us to work harder and make more money. We'll need to start saving for his or her education.
Well, I still need to save for mine.
Well, no rush. Let's just keep it in mind, okay, hun?
I had children on my mind before Riley mentioned them, but not near the surface. I guess I'd made up my mind to wait 5 or 10 years before having kids. It seemed a little odd Riley would have a biological clock ticking, but a couple of his friends had kids now, and he had a brother and a sister who both had kids. He'd brought it up for a reason. I put it aside and got through the hours of phone calls helping people with their technical issues with their TV and their internet and phone services and products. Even with the solid 2 weeks training, I was still getting my bearings with the job.
Do you work tomorrow?
No, it's my day off. Well, my night off. Riley has tickets to a hockey game.
Oh, not my idea of a good night out.
Not really mine either, but it's a night out. I've learned it helps to take earplugs.
I bet. Well, have a good time. See you Monday then?
No, I'm not back until Tuesday. I'll see you then. Have a good weekend.
Watch out for flying hockey pucks.
Karina was picked up by her boyfriend, and I walked across the parking lot to the dimly lit bus stop. Only the sad older woman waited for the bus with me. We had never spoken to each other. Quick looks, a smile, a nod, but nothing more. I'd wondered if she had had kids. The woman boarded the bus, and the driver, when it was this driver, greeted her as he had every other night. She usually took the first available seat near the front, but not tonight. She slowly made her way to the rear of the bus. I flashed my bus pass, and the driver, knowing me, didn't even look at it. I usually sat near where the woman had chosen to go, and saw no reason to avoid her, so I sat down a couple seats from her. I could have pulled my phone out and texted or played a game or any number of equally antisocial phone antics, but I left it in my bag. "My name is Dawn," I introduced myself. "Worked at Mantis long?"
Yes, it seems like a very long time.
Her voice was like her look, lacking in vibrancy or joy, although it held a note of kindness. "Do you like it?" I asked a little foolishly.
It's a job. How do you like it?
"Fine. When I'm able to help a caller get something to work or answer their question, it's somewhat rewarding. I have another full-time day job. This is only a part-time temporary job. I plan on going back to school soon."
I was going to go back to school once, but sometimes plans and dreams are just placeholders until reality decides what to dish out.
"May I ask why you didn't go back to school?" It was this question that caused her to raise her head and look at me, and for the first time I really saw her face. She had the face of someone who had seen better days, in my opinion, and probably deserved a better lot in life than she had. She had a very familiar face.
Why are you so interested in me?
"Well, I stammered, unprepared for the question. Her eyes narrowed a little, awaiting my reply. I felt like they were judging me somehow. "You seem sad and alone, and I was wondering if that was so and why." My answer seemed to meet with her approval, and she smiled slightly. Something told me she hadn't done so for a while.
I had a kid. Wasn't any time afterwards, and then got married and another kid followed that.
So you don't regret not going?
Things would have been different, I'm sure, if I had.
Well, marriage and children must have had their rewards.
Well, there were some joys along the way.
So, why do you seem so sad?
I'm content. There are worse things to be.
What were you going to school for?
Well, I had thought of taking some business courses. Always thought I could have done well in business. Maybe not become a millionaire or famous brand, but something, a legacy. Something that I could say, that was me, I did that.
I got a little excited. That's what I'm going to take, a full business program. I want to be creative and use my head, build something, make it bigger and better and expand. My boyfriend brought up kids the other night, and I've been worried, almost scared. I want kids, but not for a while.
Then don't have them. It's your body.
Oh, I know, I'm on the pill, no plans of going off it. Still, I have a feeling it was a sign of something bad. How many kids do you have?
2 with my first husband. The eldest, Tim, died in an accident. Stacy, my daughter, hooked up with the wrong crowd, got in some trouble, got pregnant as a teen, ended up doing drugs and drinking with an abusive guy. It got worse. Social services took the kid and she ended up in jail. I hadn't heard from her in years, but always sent a birthday and Christmas card. And finally I got a reply that she was out of jail and had cleaned up, got a job and custody of her son. It was some of the best news I've ever received. She invited me out to visit, but it's a distance.
You should go. I bet she wants to see you, and I'm sure your grandson would love to meet his grandma. Couldn't they come here?
Maybe.
You said your first husband. What happened there? It then dawned on me I might be getting a little too personal with this woman. I'm sorry, I'm being awfully nosy.
It's quite all right. Well, Henry and I were happy and things were good. Then when Stacy was 8 and Tim was 11, I started suspecting he was being unfaithful. I kept my mouth closed and tried to make believe it wasn't true, and then the evidence became too much and I had to confront him. By then the love was gone and he was distant from me and growing more so with the kids. When Henry told the children he was moving out, Tim got upset and ran out of the house. He was hit by a truck and killed.
I'm so sorry, that's terrible, I said as I couldn't help my eyes getting watery.
It's in the past, it's just a memory. Henry and I were both devastated. He blamed himself and started drinking, and it ruined him. I raised Stacy and remarried. A great guy, Melvin, who made life great.
The woman smiled at the memories of Melvin, and I smiled as well.
Then he fell ill with cancer. He kept up a brave front, but it ate away at him. And me. Once he died, it seemed Stacy began her downward spiral, and she loved Mel. He was the father Henry never was for her.
I took her hand and noticed on her right wrist a tattoo. The same tattoo I had on my right wrist. A tattoo I had got after high school graduation. The word hope. I began to tremble visibly. She looked at me, her face. It was familiar. It was my face. If 40 or so years were added to it and a lot of heartache. How long have you worked at Mantis? I asked.
Oh, I'd say I was about your age.
You're me, I exclaimed. She smiled warmly.
No, I'm not you. I'm old and my days are short. You, however.
She looked at me and her eyes sparkled like a precious gem.
You are young and your life could be anything you want it to be at this point. You just need to figure out what that is and make it happen. Some old women can't give you the answers to life, but maybe a few of her words will guide you properly.
I think they might be doing that, I said with a smile.
My life wasn't bad. People in this world have much worse problems and hardships than I have ever encountered. I have my joys in life. They are the simple things like my cats, my flowers, a sunny day. a warm blanket, and a good book. But I do think now and then how different it could have been. Maybe I am better off with the path I ended up on. I don't think I can complain.
The bus started slowing down. It was the woman's stop. She hadn't pulled the bell, but the driver knew it all the same. I didn't want our conversation to end, but it must. Guess I'll talk to you later. I've so enjoyed meeting you.
You're so sweet. That was the most enjoyable bus ride I've had in many years. You take care of yourself, Dawn.
You too. Oh, I never asked your name.
My friends call me Hope.
The bus had stopped and Hope was standing. I stood up too and without thinking gave her a big warm hug. She seemed surprised but hugged me back. Have a good night. I'll see you at work, I'm sure. She smiled and looked like a different person than the sad creature who shuffled around at work.
You have a good night, dear, and remember, carpe diem.
I couldn't help it. I was in tears as she got off the bus. The door closed and the bus began to move. I looked out the window into the night at the woman who turned and waved to me, and I waved back. Have you seen that woman I pointed out the other day?
I don't think so. Why?
She hasn't been here?
I don't know. I haven't seen her. Why the concern over her?
Well, I talked to her on the bus ride home the other night.
Oh, and what fascinating things did you learn from her?
You know that guy we never saw again after training was over?
Yeah?
I have a feeling we're never going to see that woman again.
How'd you like that story? The bus ride. Just to add a footnote to the tale, Dawn got a student loan, quit her day job, started business school way earlier than she had planned, and she parted ways with that Riley guy. Meow. No, I don't know if she ended up with a guy named Melvin. Old Nancy don't have all the answers. Meow. Has old Nancy been on a bus before? At 127, of course I have. But when I was a little girl, it was a horse-drawn wagon that took us to school. Oh, I see. It's ever so late, and Satan and I has business. Dark business. Midnight business. Meow.
Tonight's episode, Bus Ride, written by Kevin Rimney. Our cast: Sherry Hawkins, Amber Moyer, and Kevin Rimney. The Witch's Bedtime Tale. Copyright 2017. Kevin Rimney Productions.